Backlot Stunt Coaster is a family launch coaster in the Cedar Fair chain. This ride can be found at King's Dominion, Canada's Wonderland, and Kings Island, and it feels sort of like something you'd find at a Disney park. I'll explain why in this review. Back in 1996, when Kings Island and Kings Dominion were owned by Paramount, they each added an indoor launch coaster named Flight of Fear. These were two of the first coasters built by a fledgling amusement ride company named Premier Rides, and they were revolutionary for the time. They were the first coasters to feature linear induction motor or LIM launches. These rides were very well received by the parks, so much so that Paramount went back to Premier Rides a decade later for a family launch coaster. Paramount was inspired by the final chase scene in the 2003 film The Italian Job, and they built a coaster around it. Canada's Wonderland and Kings Island received Italian Job stunt track in 2005. Because of this ride's positive reception, Kings Dominion received a clone of this ride in 2006, just with a slightly different name, Italian Job Turbo Coaster. But these names and themes did not last for long. Just 1 month later, Cedar Fair purchased all 5 Paramount parks for $1.2 billion. While the parks operated with their former names and IPs for the 2006 season, Cedar Fair began rebranding the parks in 2007. This included removing references to Paramount films. Most rides had little to no theming, so the process was fairly non-invasive and mostly consisted of a name change, but it was more disruptive for the themed Italian Job coasters. The rides were renamed Backlot Stunt Coaster for the 2008 season. While the effects were kept intact with the rebranding, signs were generalized to remove specific references to the film, and the Mini Cooper cars had to be dumbed down a bit. The main reason multiple effects have been removed over the years has been for maintenance and/or cost reasons, and I'll cover these changes specifically when I get to the element-by-element breakdown. The overall presentation of the ride is fairly similar to Kings Island and Kings Dominion. The entry plaza showcases the finale where riders blast through a billboard bearing the ride's name. It is so picturesque. The presentation at Canada's Wonderland is a bit different. The final billboard has oddly been painted over, is now just grey. It just looks naked. Then most of the layout is blocked by the theming, but you can see the parking garage towards the start. The ride has a different home in each of the parks. I think it works best at Canada's Wonderland where it's in the action zone. A ride themed to a car chase is perfect for the premise of that area. However, the ride is sorely out of place at the other two parks. At Kings Island, the coaster is at the edge of the Rivertown area. This is a western and lumber themed area, so you can see how a ride themed to a modern car chase doesn't exactly work. Then at Kings Dominion, Backlot Stunt Coaster is part of the recently rethemed Jungle Expedition area. This is one of the best themed lands Cedar Fair has ever made, so it's quite jarring seeing this coaster, and Intimidator 305 for that matter, in the back of the land. So it will be interesting to see if these rides get a rebrand in the next few years. I love the look of the trains on Backlot Stunt Coaster. They look like Mini Coopers, even if some of the detailing has been removed when it was renamed. The cars are complete with fake tires and license plates, and they have different colors too. The trains are quite short though. Each is comprised of just 3 cars, and each car is 2 rows of 2, so the trains hold a maximum of 12 riders each. I believe the ride opened with 4 trains, but the parks typically run just 2 or 3. To help expedite dispatches at least, there are separate load and unload platforms. One positive change after the ride lost the Italian Job IP is that the trains used to have exterior doors that would close. That way they could mimic cars more or less. These were removed, which has slightly sped up loading and unloading, but it still doesn't have the highest throughput. So it typically will have a decent sized wait most days. Expect a queue around a half hour at least most days, and the queue doesn't have much to look at beyond the ride's finale. You can get on quickly at the start of the day because not many people rope drop this attraction, or you can ride in the evening when the kids start to filter out. Then the ride is included in the paid fast lane skip the line system in each park as well. When you reach the end of the queue line, the parks typically let just enough people into the station to fill the next train. They don't always honor seating requests though, but I think the front offers a slightly better experience for the unobstructed view if you're able to get it. Riders are restrained by a U-shaped lap bar. The profiling is identical to the aforementioned Flight of Fear. The lap part is comfy, but legroom can get a bit tight, and it is a rare Cedar Fair coaster that does not have any seatbelts. Launch 1 occurs directly from the station. There's no official countdown, but you will hear the ride crew say all clear, which will tip you off when it occurs. This is an LIM launch that accelerates you to 40 miles per hour or 64 kilometers per hour in 3 seconds. While those are fairly modest stats, the launch has decent punch. I actually think it has more kick than the aforementioned Flight of Fear, and the sense of speed is augmented by the trailer and road signs that you pass. This leads into the best part of the ride, the 900-degree upwards helix in the parking garage. This is a shockingly intense maneuver for a family coaster. You get a strong blast of positive G's in the entry, but that's not what makes it super intense. The helix tightens as you progress through it. While the G's do not feel nearly as powerful as they did at the start, they are still present. Being exposed to 8 or 9 seconds straight of positive G's is an automatic grey out for me. I love how disorienting it is. You crawl out of the helix and have the ride's largest drop. It is a 3-story plunge, but unfortunately, it has no airtime. Next is a low S-bend. The maneuver itself has some laterals. Then you have some theming as well. You narrowly dodge police cars. The sirens no longer work, but the cars are still present. Then you also have some construction barriers, billboards, and shipping containers adjacent to the track as well. This leads into a bank turnaround that is quite mild. You glide past some billboards of stunt drivers at least, but they are so sun-dried that it's nearly impossible to tell what they are on ride. They really could use a touch-up. Then you jump upwards, getting a weak pop of airtime in the front car. You start banking right, and then you have a sharp turn left. This quick directional change has a bit of whip to it. And you have some additional visuals as you pass under a road sign and another washed-out billboard. You then enter a subway tunnel. It's a really cool visual, but the drop itself is too shallow to offer airtime. The pullout is quite tight though, and it delivers an okay burst of positive G's. You then twist upwards into the left, getting some weak floater airtime in front. This leads into the main show scene, which unfortunately is nowhere nearly as good as it once was. It's still fun, but a lot of effects have broken. Originally in all 3 versions, you would pause here for a few seconds. A helicopter would start moving and aim a machine gun at you. You'd hear the gun firing, and water jets would whiz past you to simulate bullets. It was a really neat effect. In front of you, barrels would explode in a fiery blast, and right before you'd launch, water geysers would erupt next to you, and you'd accelerate into a foggy sewer tunnel. I experienced this in opening year at King's Dominion, and it was amazing. It was so theatric. But what happens today? The better question is what doesn't happen today. Now, the helicopter does not shake on any version, but the propellers will still spin on the Kings Island version at least. And the water and fog effects have been removed. The audio and fire effects still work in the King's Dominion and Kings Island versions at least. The fire is fairly infrequent at King's Dominion, but I think I've gotten it every single time at Kings Island. While this sequence is not as special as it once was, it is still a solid amount of theming, especially for a Cedar Fair park. Now, Canada's Wonderlands is in the worst condition though. They don't even try. None of the effects work. In fact, the park disabled a pause and you just roll right on through to the second launch. The second launch is very weak. It has no oomph, but that's probably because of what happens next. You head into the tunnel and immediately drop downwards. This is a swooping drop right, and this drop is decent G's at the bottom. You then have some more twists and near total darkness. This part ends by twisting upwards, getting another small dose of positive G's. Then you emerge and have the iconic drop through the billboard. It's not too tall, but it does give a pinch of floater airtime in the back car, and you have a head chopper on each one as you dive beneath the queue line. The pullout used to have a splashdown effect, but it was removed from all 3 versions shortly after opening. You then abruptly hop upwards, which sort of chucks you forwards. Then you have one last and mild turn left into the brakes. You then return to the station, ending the 1,960 foot or 600 meter long experience. But it honestly feels considerably longer than that. the ride duration is more than satisfactory for me. In terms of smoothness, this ride is quite comfortable. There's some slight shaking at a few points, most notably at the Helix start, but overall the ride is smooth. Then the pacing is about what you'd expect for a family coaster. So what would I rate Backlot Stunt Coaster? I would give this ride a 7 out of 10. This is a good family coaster. It's approachable for gentler riders, and it does just enough to put a smile on the face of thrill seekers. That initial Helix is a legitimately intense moment that pulls some serious G's. It really does not belong on a family coaster. Then the rest of the layout has a few brief spurts of force and quite a bit of theming. While many effects have been broken, particularly during the second launch sequence, the visuals even when static are still well above average than your regular coasters. I could see a ride like this dropping into a Disney park and fitting in seamlessly between the thrill level and theming, and I mean that as a compliment. I think the Kings Island version is the best of the bunch because it's the most effects still in use. But King's Dominion is not far behind, especially if they can get the fire effect working consistently. And Canada's Wonderlands is my least favorite because you now bypass the show scene before the second launch, you just roll right on through. But the overall experience ride to ride is fairly similar outside of this one scene. It's not something I'll marathon at any of these three parks, but I will always try to ride it once per visit. It really is a nice fit in the park, and you don't get a themed experience like this elsewhere on their other coasters. So those are my thoughts on Backlot Stunt Coaster at the Cedar Fair parks. What are your thoughts about this ride? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.